meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I've never done this quite like this.
See, I know.
You know, we all sway occasionally.
You see, it kind of feels like we're on a boat, sort of, right? Like,
That's true.
right? No, never. But
This
first
is
like this.
The ultimate veteran of Comic-Con.
I'm a giant nerd. Yeah, no, I've been coming to Comic-Con for a long time. I used to do coverage for another outlet years and years ago, but it's not my first Comic-Con. Is it yours?
You're also like an incredible actor on so many shows.
It's
Like today, we all had a break. He didn't because he had to go do 12 other panels for projects.
We're doing other panels and signings, and yeah, I mean, I'm so excited to be here with Alyson and for this show. Hamster Gretel is everything I would have wanted as a kid, and so to get to work on it as a kid at heart, as supervillains,
Yeah,
and siblings.
I know.
It's wild. That's wild.
Could you explain more about your characters? Like, we know about the main cast.
Yeah.
You guys said that you were sibling villain.
Yes, of course.
So I play Lauren, who also goes by the Destructress.
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 Yes.
That is her chosen villain name, and she is one half of one of the supervillain
Sibling duos.
Yes.
We're gonna come up with a name eventually. And I play Lyle. I'm a fist puncher, and I like to punch with my fists. And it's been so fun. We've actually been working. This is the first time we've met.
Yeah.
But we've been working together for about 2 years, since the pilot.
Yeah.
Through COVID, through Zoom, and it's amazing. Like Alyson brings so much to this character because you do. I think it's also just when you hear a voice, the first thing people usually ask is how do you come up with the character voice. But in this case, Alyson had recorded first. So when I heard what Alyson had done, I was like, okay, you want to think of sort of like an orchestra, right?
Right.
So if my voice is going to be alongside her voice, you either want to find a way to complement it or contrast. So in this case, we kind of naturally sort of did kind of like a valley girl, valley boy, valley person thing.
Yeah.
And I think that sort of is where the character started, this idea of for me, sort of whiny and entitled, a little bit like country club kind of thing. And I don't know, just sort of ran with it.
Yeah, and then personality-wise, while I am the older twin sibling by 3 minutes, I tend to want my ideas to go exactly my way.
Right.
I'm very self-justified, quite attitudinal, very fierce, and as an actor, it's my first time playing the villain in an animated show. I've often been the voice of reason and the moral compass and the earnest, supportive friend, and now I'm like, let's recap it.
Right. Well, and it's wild too because these characters obviously all kind of exist in a very similar spiritual universe as Phineas and Ferb.
Yeah.
And to see Dan's take on superheroes, and I think I'm a huge Marvel fan. I'm wearing my Marvel stuff here, and I was excited because I was doing the math the other night. And I was like, oh, we're technically in the Marvel universe, technically, because
I want to hear this.
Yeah,
Phineas
like-
and, so
Tell me more.
Hamster and Gretel exist in the universe with Phineas and Ferb and Milo Murphy's Law, the other Dan and Swampy projects. Phineas and Ferb met the Marvel characters. Thus, conceptually, I would say,
At least adjacent.
there is some
degrees.
multiverse of the Marvel universe that we would also dwell in, which is awesome.
This is going to be the big reveal at the Marvel panel, too.
I know, that's it. Sorry, Kevin Feige's right. Hey, come on here, Kevin.
We are the reveal.
We are the reveal. We kind of, I guess, we would sort of be like a Scarlet Witch or Quicksilver variant, But they were brothers. Yeah, why not? Lyle is attitude with no substance. He's a blunt force, and I think for me, especially working with Dan, those are the things he lets me kind of do the most. When I was getting started, I was a voice of the Kool-Aid Man, so I literally punching and oh sure, oh yeah. So to get back into the smashing, it just feels right, and punching,
How do you create the chemistry of twins when you had just met phasing out?
That's a great
That's
question.
a great question, and I think it speaks a lot to the writing and us having experience working with Dan and some of the people on the team, because there's a similar sensibility ability in terms of humor and cadence with the script, but then there's also this beautiful way that Dan allows actors to bring their humanity.
Right.
And we'll have to give the actors some credit that by now we should be decent
Right.
at being able to hear cadence, hear choices,
Right.
and play off of them and make intelligent decisions in the moment. But we're set up for success because Dan has such a strong point of view in animation, and we've had decades of experience working with him.
Right.
And so it's been really interesting for me to have not known anything about you at all as a human,
Right.
like face to face.
Yeah.
But we actually just during some of the preparatory calls for this learned that we have some similar sensibilities just on a human level.
There's some very similar human stuff, which is really cool because
I think we can now bring that into the show more.
yeah, but we're also definitely playing characters that are super opposite of who we are.
Yes, like
Yeah, no, yeah. I don't have super strength, so I can't throw yachts that I know of.
Not that I know of.
There's Quay represents readers of 21 million readers for Scholastic Kids Press. They all want to know about the voices behind the characters. So
Sure,
you,
of course.
in your voices, just quickly tell these kids how exciting it is and that you're real people behind their cartoons.
Absolutely.
Sure. Do you want to go first?
Yeah. Hey, I'm Brock Powell. I'm a voice actor. It was my dream to live in a cartoon, and I'm doing it. And I think it's important to remember, keep reading, keep writing, keep creating, and you never know where your dreams are going to take you. I voice Lyle on Hamster and Gretel, and you can also hear me as Fist Puncher and a couple other villains, including Big Baby, and some others that are going to be appearing as the season goes on.
Hey, I'm Allison Stoner. You may have seen me or heard me as Isabella on Phineas and Ferb, and she's really high-pitched. And now I'm a little bit more of a Valley girl because I'm playing the Destructress, and she's very fierce, and she has a very strong point of view, and she doesn't always know what she's doing, but she's gonna convince you that she does. And I hope you have a blast, continue to learn, continue to grow, continue to not only learn from the outside world, but also reflect inward and grow in both directions, and have fun exploring.
Do you guys ever watch, like, do they record you guys in the booth and you guys get to watch yourself? So it's just like watching the two of you transform, like obviously verbally, but non-verbally, like showed off, like you became a whole different person when you did all the different voices. Mm-hmm. So have you ever watched yourself and been like, wow, I did not expect myself to do that?
I'm constantly mortified when I'm filmed. Part of it is I'm a huge animation nerd, and if you all haven't, this is a plug for something I'm not even associated with, but Chuck Jones Gallery was that's not too far from here. Chuck Jones was a original animator for Looney Tunes, Warner Brothers, and he believed that artists were actors with pencils, and I believe that a voice actor is an animator with your voice. So I try to visualize, because typically they'll record us first, so I try to think physically what the sound is doing, and the easiest way to produce that is by physically mimicking the action. So if I'm throwing in a cartoon, just instinctively, I'm gonna put my body into it. Or if a character, and that's where I start, usually is if I look at the picture, and I notice your character, big frown, well, I'm gonna match that. Because that now the sound's gonna sort of connect. And I would say, my thing is when I teach people and kids how to do voiceover, it's like baseball. So when you throw a little baseball, you're not thinking of how far it is, your muscles kind of just go in line. So visualizing and putting your body into it is super, super important.
I would agree with that, and to build on it, I have a movement background, and so you may or may not realize, but you're combining an understanding of anatomy, you're combining psychology, you're combining your own embodiment with characters' lived experience, and what's interesting with animation is that I found that it requires more dynamism and more commitment to really let yourself explore openly, because you can do all of this motion, but it may not translate at all on the microphone. So you're merging embodiment plus the vocal mechanics, and that's where you see these really incredible artists who understand the musculatures of how to manipulate sound sound like an acoustic instrument.
Right.
And I'm sure you know Dee Bradley.
Of
Like, who
course
doesn't
I
know?
do. Perry
Dee's
the
on-
Platypus.
Yeah, every show I've been on, Dee's
Yeah.
been at least 12 voices. and I will listen to him design an entire soundscape at every level of what's called the biophony. So, you know, the creatures in the sky, the creatures on the ground, the sound of the wind and the weather, and it's one person doing every single thing. And so that is what's really inspiring to me. I started, you know, in traditional film and television, but animation allowed me to bring my dance background into it, into the mix, as well as it sort of dared me to tap into my imagination far more than I ever dared to do on camera. Camera is often subtlety, like
Right.
you just think the thought and you can see it on camera. And animation is like you kind of have to really enroll yourself.
Well, and I think, you know, you hear like the camera adds 10 pounds. And so there is like, you know, that's something I've always heard and been so aware of. The microphone takes off 10 pounds. The microphone actually removes energy. So when you're recording, you actually have to think of, I think I'm giving it my all when I'm throwing a punch. But then you hear it back and it sounds like, ugh. So you really have to put your body into it and imagine those things. And it's just amazing to watch these actors work. And I think too, as non-binary, I'm a non-binary actor, and I think that as an artist, it's so cool to not be limited by what a character looks like.
Yes.
And that knowing that the sound comes from the creative and the heart, and it's just really cool to be free of that. And especially someone who I occupy a large space. I'm 6'4", I'm a big presence. But the characters I love to play are little characters. So I work on Mickey Mouse Funhouse. I play Teddy the Doghouse opposite Harvey Guillen, and I get to do these little, like tiny little dog sound effects and be cute and adorable. It's just fun to not be limited.
I love that. I also identify as non-binary, and that's such a beautiful way of expressing. Like, we get to be multi-dimensional in ways that we wouldn't be afforded for an on-camera role.
Yeah,
For sure.
And again, I think too, it's really cool because like being able to just be ourselves, and then that idea of what the non-binary sounds like, and that it doesn't have a sound, and I think that's really cool.
These are great creators, like really wonderful stories, and something that's really special, actually, just quickly about Hamster Gretel, is that it's a multiracial lead family. So you're already getting more perspectives, more senses of humor, more examples of tradition across multiple cultures, and like we all just met each other, and we were like, wait a second, half of us are this, and more of us are that, because we haven't been a part of a cast where we're like,
it's so wild.
It's not just me who occupies this particular identity marker.
Right.
So it's really neat. I'm excited to see how that just brings more flavors of humanity into the series.
And the way Dan's approaching the show too, the cast that has not been announced, some of these guest stars are mind-blowing and really talented people, and
That's so Dan.
And from really current avenues of media, and it's going to be really fun. So if you're a fan of Dan's shows and you're a fan of cartoons and superheroes, like, I honestly, when I talk about the show, I'm like, I don't know how you're not going to like it, because it has like a triple, three-pronged fandom.
Yeah, true.
We have fun, and I hope that comes up. And thank you, your thoughtful questions.
Thank you.
Did anyone else have one, or? Good, cool.
He's giving us the
One last one? Sorry. I was If I had a superpower? Great question. You want to go first?
My superpower would be telekinesis, because, go with me for a second, I believe with my own two eyes that I did witness a young person exhibit telekinetic powers, and therefore, if I see it, I am going to learn how to do it myself. So, let me know if anyone wants to join.
We actually had talked about this as a cast. Shape-shifting. My favorite superheroes were Beast Boy, Mystique. I love the characters that could be anybody. And again, I was sort of like Clayface, and it was just kind of that realization, like, oh, I am a shapeshifter professionally. Like, I kind of do have that superpower. And so there's your answer. And now I want to do it matter.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.